Welcome to the Masterbooks podcast, where we bring you conversations that will strengthen your biblical worldview and the faith of your family. I'm Jennifer White, publicist at Masterbooks, a division of New Leaf Publishing Group. As host of this show, I'll be opening the doors to the Masterbooks family library of books, authors, and curriculum. For over 45 years, our company has been about one thing: ink on paper to touch eternity. In a world increasingly at war with God, we are publishing to partner with you to disciple your family, the church, and the nations. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Masterbooks podcast. Today, it's my honor to interview Carrie Bailey, who is the author of Stepping Stones for Preschool, Simply K for Kindergarten. She's the co-author of Math K with Angela Odell, and she recently released Catch On to Cursive. So today she is going to share with us about the Masterbooks method that she helped develop, as well as how she designed Catch On to Cursive to help your homeschool family win. Thanks for joining us, Carrie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Carrie and I have worked together on and off at Masterbooks for quite a few years, and she is such a joy just to know as a person, and she has such a heart for Masterbooks and for you, the moms of Masterbooks. She's a homeschool mom of 3, and so I'm going to ask her to take a few minutes and share her homeschool story. Like, how did you become a homeschool mom? What made you decide to do that? And how did you also become a curriculum author?
How I became a homeschool mom was some difficulties that we had in the public school system. And towards the end of 3rd grade with my oldest son, we decided that we needed to go a different way. And so I brought him home to homeschool him. And then from there, we have just continued doing so. So my other 2 children have never been to public school.
Okay.
And then I found Masterbooks. I was looking for something to teach my oldest son grammar and, the English language. And I really wanted to use the Bible as the core, and I was searching for curriculum that would have the Bible as the core. And I found at that time, it's kind of now been converted over to Language Lesson 6. But I was using, it's elementary English and grammar. And so it used the family Bible stories, illustrated family Bible stories. And we used that. That was our first course that we had from Masterbooks. And then I had seen the math lessons on there. And so I started using that with my middle son to teach him math. And I loved the approach and how it was story-based and things that he enjoyed and liked doing. So that's how I found Masterbooks. And then I'm not huge on Facebook. I use it for homeschooling things. And so I found the Moms of Masterbooks group and joined that and just started being helpful, which is kind of like almost one of those, it's like something that you're like good at, but it's also your downfall, because it's like you are helpful to a fault.
I get it.
So, yes. So then Randy happened to call me one day, which totally made me panic, or contacted me, I guess, through Facebook, and then asked me to call him. And by doing so, he asked me to be a moderator for the Moms of Masterbooks. And then they became to know me even more. And he was the one who had the idea for me to write the kindergarten curriculum, since I have a degree in early childhood education. So
wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that he connected with you for that, because you have written some award-winning curriculum. I just was looking through the awards and saw that your Stepping Stones for Pre-K won, as well as Catch On to Cursive. So congratulations to you and to all of you who are already using those award-winning curriculum. I love to see the Masterbooks in action shots of the kids that are so proud of their things that they've done. And especially one of my favorites is the Armor of God with Simply K, when they make their own little armor and they take pictures of them wearing it. So cute.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said your background is early childhood development. And
Mhm.
so how did you take what you've learned and build it into your courses and into the master books method actually?
A lot of times, curriculum tries to either pull from one educational method or another, and it also will focus only on academics. And
Mhm.
by doing so, we neglect the whole child and we ignore the other needs that need to be met. But in order to actually help those children to excel academically, we can't neglect part of who they are, because those things will impact their learning. So if they are not developmentally ready for reading, then we need to step back and just wait. It's not about their intellect.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that they're not as intelligent. It just means that they're just not ready. So we started getting that message across through the Moms of Master Books. And that's kind of how everything just started falling into place. And so when I do a course, I always try to think about the whole child and,
Mhm.
their social emotional learning as well as their academic learning.
Well, and it's made a huge difference in the lives of so many families who use our curriculum because they're relaxing with their kids and not forcing the issue, and the kids are having more confidence and more fun and learning
Mhm.
to love to learn.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we are so thankful for that. So today we're going to talk more on Catch On to Cursive. Fewer people know about it, but I would love for you to tell us the age range that you developed this curriculum for, and then how you uniquely made it biblical and uniquely made it fun.
Kristen Pratt, who at the time was the curriculum development editor, we had discussed actually when we were planning Simply K, we had discussed a handwriting course and kind of what she would like to see from one and how it needed to be unique. And then I was giving some input on ideas that I had that would help to strengthen the child's muscles for handwriting.
Okay.
So that's where that development comes in too, is you can even have a 10 or 11-year-old child who has poor fine motor skills. And so the cursive course actually pulls in exercises and things like that to help the child to develop those muscles. I'm actually in physical therapy right now, again, and I'm having to work on postural muscles.
Mhm.
And so I'm doing exercises to strengthen those so my stamina is good to support my back. And it's amazing to me how awful my postural muscles, they don't have the endurance. So I'm having to do repetitions to try to build up my endurance to help my body. And
Mhm.
it's amazing the muscles that you will use. And when one area is weak, you try to pull in leg muscles to help hold
Yes.
you up. And so it's the same with children. If they are going to write, they have to be using those postural muscles. They have to use fine motor muscles. And all of those have to come and fit and work together.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much what we do with the course. And we tried to make it fun. So we would give activities. I had this idea when I first started. The fish theme came about by I wanted something unique. I didn't
Mhm.
want to. I've seen a tree house before used with the line. I've seen different things, but I had never seen a fish theme. And I loved the idea of the boat on the line. So it goes between the midline and the baseline. And those are all a visual cue to help the student remember placement of the letters and where it should go and where it should connect. And if it goes all the way up to the top, which was the pole line. And so that is a very unique to this course. It's unique for this course. I have not seen that anywhere else. And then a lot of times kids will struggle with going below that baseline and curving letters. And so that's where we put in the hook line is all the way down. So they're going into the water. So it just created a little fun way. And by doing that, we kind of we wanted to bring in kids to make it feel like they were a part of it. So the best way to do that was that we have them being almost like it's like a little club. It's called Club Skeeter. And that's after one of the characters in the book. And so Skeeter guides them along the way, and he actually gives them biblical truths throughout the course. And then his sister and niece are also part of it. And we were able to bring them in, and the little niece, Anna, she helps them as they earn little badges throughout the course. And there's badges in the back of the book. And so you can blow that up as much as you want and make it a huge poster board and just really celebrate it. Or you can just keep it within the book and, just let them enjoy those celebrations along the way as they earn their badges.
So fun. I think the fishing theme is amazing. You and I are both from the South. And so the Skeeter name is precious to me. And in fact, my little dog of 12 years was named Skeeter. So I love that. I have seen many of the moms posting pictures of their children enjoying the fishing aspect of it. They're enjoying the writing, but just enjoying learning. Some of them never even knew how to fish. And so this is even teaching them fishing skills that they will have in the future. To use such a unique way to help a child understand, remember where the line goes, how to curve, I just think it's genius.
Don't know about that, but it helps to give them visuals and it helps it stick. And I have tried myself with my children to teach them, cursive using other courses, and none of them have stuck. And so I think that is kind of the missing key, is teaching them all the other parts to use their whole body. And, we're using all of our senses to write. And so I think when you pull that in, all of that multi-sensory input helps them and helps it to actually apply it.
Right. And I love that you are helping the whole child in that. I can really relate to your physical therapy. I'm going through the very same thing, and I'm trying to pay attention to how I look on the screen right now to see if my posture is good. But it's so interesting how everything plays into even writing. And, when I've been writing papers or books or blogs, I get so fatigued from sitting at the desk so long, and I know it's because of my posture. So how wonderful for the children who are going through this to learn the postures, to learn how to use their hands, all the things that are going to help them not just succeed at cursive, but to also succeed in all the other things that they're learning through homeschool and in life. So back to the biblical part of it. I know that there's some parts where you talk about being fishers of men, that they're learning even the gospel and the Great Commission. Tell us a little bit about that.
So each 9 weeks, I focused on a different biblical theme. So the first 9 weeks is fishers of men, which obviously ties in with the fishing theme. And so we talk about letting them be part of their family as discipling other people. Not that we're asking kids to go out and do it on their own, because usually children are not equipped for that. That's my job to equip my children. So what we do is we give ideas throughout the course for them to kind of think about ways to witness to someone. Okay, so the second 9 weeks, we actually go into the creation of God, and we start looking at all of the ways, like the coelacanth that they thought was extinct. And then they found him. I can't remember exactly the date when it was, but it was several years back that they found a coelacanth. And here it actually disproves evolution, because that fish has not changed. So it's an ancient fish to everyone that hasn't ever evolved into anything else and is still out there, and they didn't even know it existed. So there's things like that we pull forward so the children can see that God is the creator, that he is magnificent, and that his masterpieces are us and his creation. And then we move on into the parables and the Beatitudes for the last 9 weeks. And so students will get to learn what those parables are and what's the application of the parable. And then we break down the Beatitudes as well into just each Beatitude. And so that way they get to see that sermon and how we can apply it to our lives, and not just to memorize just what that is, but to actually, how can I apply this daily?
I love it. It makes me want to take the course. I want to see all those Bible lessons. That's so great. And I wish I would have had it when I was growing up. My dad was very particular about handwriting, and I do have a good one, but I didn't have fun or learn the
Yes.
Bible during it. So thank you for creating that. I was looking at the reviews at masterbooks.com of Catch On to Cursive, and I loved what some of them were saying about it. One lady said that her son had a horrible print handwriting, but his cursive was terrific because he's had this course and he hadn't had one for printing. And then another lady shared that her older student was using the older student schedule, which I'd love for you to talk about. And she said it was exceeding her expectations, how well he was doing. So go back a little bit and tell us about the age range of who can use this course.
So this course was written for a typical third grade student, because that's typically when children will learn cursive. I realized the last few years it's not really being taught a lot anymore.
Right.
And so we wanted it to be where it was family friendly. And so if, like me, I have a child in 10th grade and my youngest is in 2nd grade. So that's a big span. I wanted it to be where they could all learn it together. So if they wanted to do that, they could. Obviously, a younger child, depending on their reading level, probably can't do it alone. But the parent or even an older sibling could read those sections to them, and then they be able to apply what needs to be done for the lesson. And then we created an older schedule. So basically that 3rd through about 6th grade level could use the regular schedule. Now, if they've had a cursive course before and they kind of know some of it and they want to go through this faster, they could also use the older schedule, even if they're not above that. But we wanted high school students to even be able to take this and use it. And their schedule, actually, it goes through the book much faster. And then it even has like ways for them to apply the cursive into their other schoolwork, be able to go and read different documents and be able to write, like say that they're reading a book, so they could take a chapter or a paragraph from the book and begin transcribing that into their cursive, into like a notebook. So there's a lot of application for that, but by doing it faster, they're getting deeper into understanding and applying how cursive is written and how to read it.
Okay. So is the schedule for the older student also in the book, or where do they find that?
Yes, they are side by side, just like with all of Masterbooks courses, how we have in the very front the schedule, and you can like check off the day or put the date and the grade. That is in there side by side right there in the book.
Okay, great. Perfect. So now we get to one of the parts that I love, where we ask you for some advice for the homeschool mom. You've been homeschooling for quite a while, and you've gone through things that are unique to you. You've learned things along the way, and we'd love for you to share a nugget that you would have wished someone had shared with you earlier on in your journey.
Probably the one that we hear a ton of: homeschooling is not public school. Don't even try to make it be. I've heard of people that are still doing, like they're getting up at the crack of dawn and their children are having recess at like 8 o'clock and like all these things. It's fine if you want to do that, but that's not what is required. And that's not always what's beneficial. But we, a lot of times, don't understand that we can break the mold of public education. And it is a mindset that we have to break in ourselves. And that for me has been one of the biggest challenges, is break that mindset, not even just within my home, but of family and friends outside of my home. They don't understand or see. And we have to, as homeschoolers, own what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
So own what we believe, break the mold. It's homeschooling is not at all public school, nor to me should it look like that. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice.
I think that is so wise. And we've heard Randy talk about it several times, but it's so good to hear it from more people, and, and that you've struggled with it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and paradigm shifts or mindset changes, they don't come easily, but to give yourself
No.
some grace and knowing
Oh,
that this is a process of breaking that way of thinking.
yes. Grace all the time. Grace
Yes.
for me, grace given to my children, like all of
Right.
it. Yes.
One of my sweet friends that prays for me, she prayed one day that I would have grace for every hour. And I thought, if that's not a perfect prayer, you know?
Oh, definitely. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So now I'd love to ask you, like, which book from the Master Books library, shelf, catalog, whatever you want to call it, has been the most impactful on you and your family?
Um, I am going to go with Reset for Parents.
Okay.
I know that Todd Friel has a tendency to step on people's toes. And I definitely need my steel-toed boots on when I'm reading this, because he just tells you like it is.
Mhm.
And he doesn't mince words on like what we need to do to change. And he does call us to action. So I appreciate that. And I think especially in the time that we are living, we as parents have to be so vigilant in training and discipling our children.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like this before. And I remember when I was a little girl, my grandparents would say that. And I'm not a grandparent yet, but I feel that our society has fallen so far away that a book like this that calls the parents back to action and
Mhm.
pulls us back in away from the modern ideas of, I'm trying to think how I should word that. Like when parents actually are their child's friend instead of their parent.
Mhm.
Um, so we have a lot of that going on, or a lot of coaxing, like the parents are coaxing the children instead of discipline, which discipline at the root of that word is disciple. And that's what he talks about a lot in this book. And I really appreciate his straightforward approach.
Absolutely. He was one of our speakers for the 2022 Smarter Way to Homeschool Summit that we put on this summer. And his talk about the family and teaching the gospel to your children, in applying the gospel to your relationships within the family, was so outstanding. I want everyone to hear it. And I will
Mhm.
link to it in our show notes so that you can go back and watch that. But I really join you in recommending that book. I think it is
Mhm.
a very important book to
It
have
is
in
very.
this hour, in these days. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just hope that you've enjoyed the Master Books podcast today, enjoyed hearing from Carrie Bailey, learning from her experience and learning about how she's designed the Catch on the Cursive course for the benefit of your family. And we'll certainly have her back to talk about the preschool and kindergarten courses and anything else she decides to publish through Master Books. We're so glad to have you, Carrie, as a part of our team and the Master Books family. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me on, and I love my Masterbooks family.
Yeah. So I always like to leave you with a blessing, and this one is based on or inspired by Psalm 33:8. May all of your family fear the Lord, and may all the inhabitants of your household stand in awe of our God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining the Masterbooks podcast. This was fun, and we are really glad you were with us. We invite you to check out masterbooks.com. We have a big library of books that will feed the faith of your family. And hey, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss an episode. We'll see you next time.